Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. Together, we are sharing ideas that will help families grow stronger, healthier, and that are both inside
and outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And give us some likes and reviews on your favorite podcast platform.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Emanuel Rose. Emanuel was born and raised on the West Coast of the United States. He has spent over 3 decades earning a reputation in cutting-edge marketing, and he has started writing a children's book series. His children's book series, Wanaha Harry, is the growing result of his newfound passion, and he hopes young readers around the world will find inspiration and maybe a bit of magic on their own. Welcome, Emanuel. Thank you for being here and for being on our show, and we look forward to talking with you.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with both of you.
Exactly. When we actually, through part of our growing of companies and things like that, Emanuel and I ended up on a networking business call together, and we started talking and realized that he actually is started originally here in Oregon, just like Herb and I are originally from here in Oregon. And it's like, wow, that'd be really cool. So here we are in a networking meeting in distant lands, but we're actually right next door to each other. And then we found out that he is a nature enthusiast as well, and the books that he is growing. And so I wanted to bring him on and have families talk about and think about a little bit about how do we get our kids back involved in nature? How do we get them out and enjoying nature? How do we let them let go of devices and go find out what is out there? So Emanuel, just give us a little bit more background about why the books, you said a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about why these books are important.
30 years of becoming a digital marketer and a reputation for that. How did you go from 30 years to writing children's books? That's got to be kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, well, the transition to having grandkids and having them be remote from where my wife and I are. So, we talked a lot about it, like we still want to help to shape values and shape their worldview, but we're remote and from them. So, it was just conversation. And then one day I'm turkey hunting, and I just came back sitting next to the river in a quiet moment of reflection, and literally there's a red-tailed hawk doing circles around, doing the hawk things, and the river's rushing by, and there's this big beautiful wall in front of me that's moss covered, and it's kind of tired and reflecting, and it all kind of came together when Henry, the red-tailed hawk, and here's the idea, and it was very organic kind of inspiration for it in that moment. So went back to camp, wrote an initial story, and then started going down that rabbit hole of creating these stories. And I've written about 25 of the stories, and now the kids are getting older, and so I've had to transition from the picture books into more of the chapter books. So it's a chance, as a marketing professional, I'm a storyteller. These stories are more from the heart and more connecting my lifelong passion for being outside with the grandkids and with storytelling.
So you're writing books to your grandchildren, and you're writing them age appropriate. So when Harry is growing up with your kids, and that is fabulous. So they get picture books, and then they get a little older reader book so that they can keep up with him. That is a fabulous concept. That is a great idea.
So it kind of keeps me thinking and learning, and figuring out how to weave in not just the magic for the kids, but also for for their parents also. And if you're going to take your kids outside, you've got to learn a little bit more about being outside yourself. And so it really is a kind of a glue for the whole family ultimately.
Reaching the adults through the kids. That's what we're doing through. That's what we're doing through Vibrant Family Education too. It's like we say we're working on the kids, but really it's a lot of help for the adults is really what we're helping with.
Yeah, and it's we all know that kids need to be outside, be off the screens, right? I mean, the mental health crisis that that the Gen Zs and the alphas are facing is a real thing from social media and from being on screens all the time. And as mentors and grandparents and parents, we have to find ways to inside of ourselves to drive these kids to do things that are in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. And what better way than through stories? Because, at least when we were kids, getting a really good story that you could really get your mind into and everything. And then lots of times you would want to go try some of those things that was in the story, right? Now, sometimes it got you in trouble. You talk about the super fudge who wants to jump off the roof with his cape. Not a good idea. But if you can get them interested in those things from reading the books, wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot of books that I read as a kid that made me want to get out in the woods and do stuff. And like this kid that left his family and hollowed out a tree and lived out in the woods in a tree, in the base of a tree
Yeah,
for a year. And
was
then
that my
eventually his family came and lived with him because they needed to get away.
What was the name of that
that
book?
my side of the mountain? Was it that
Yeah,
one?
actually, that is what it was. I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember all of it. But so yeah, so tell us a little bit more about Wanaha Henry and some of the adventures that he gets in, so that our parents, if they want, can find these books.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to hear that. So what does Wanaha do? What does Henry do?
Well, he's out on these sightseeing adventures, going to find the grouse or check out an area of the forest that had been burned, and then the grandpa grouse then gives him kind of tasks to do. And so the first one is seeds to a tree. It actually ships with um, dug fir seeds that the kids can then plant. They can grow in and plant somewhere. Um, the secrets of the grouse ships with pollinator plant seeds, so you can put those in the front yard and bring in some hummingbirds or butterflies. So he's always engaged in seeing a challenge and kind of the hero's journey, and then taking some action into making a contribution to solving whatever that situation is.
So not only do the kids get to read an interesting story, but there's actually things that they do and can plant and actually start making an impact.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's an activity with the story. Yep.
That's really awesome.
That is amazing. I love it, love it, love it. So yeah, it sounds like kids, if we can get these books in their hands with these families, then they will want to go out and explore. So it sounds like you've also been doing like research and stuff. So that, what you're telling them in the book or what they're having them do in the book is really connected with what will be good for our nature, our society, and things like that as well.
Yeah, so I try to weave in natural history and some high level concepts about tracking and about the animals and what their nature is, so that it's based in reality, and it's kind of tuning them into um, observing, I guess is the best way. And then I leave some things incomplete so that it will trigger some research either by the parents or by the kids. So we're triggering thinking also.
Yes, growing that love of learning, wanting to learn more. That is such a beautiful thing, because we really need to get our kids re-engaged, right? And that those conversations can happen with the parents as they're reading the book, or with the grandparents. Do you actually ever get on Zoom or anything and read with the kids? How did this turn into, reconnecting more with the grandkids?
Well, it's funny. It turned into where I'll give a new book to Susan whenever she'd go visit the kids, and so she would read them to them. And so it ended up that was my gift to both Susan and the grandkids. So she's read them to them the most. And I had a stuffed animal of the hawk made for Christmas for Henry for one Christmas. So it's the tradition I come from. It's called coyote teaching, right? We're just given enough so that it triggers some interest, and then it's on the individual to go and continue learn and dig into whatever is triggering them and is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how we talk about our education and getting children to love learning is you find out what they're interested in, and as they start going in that direction, you encourage it and you bring in learning opportunities, and then they can actually start pulling it in because it's like, oh, I like this, and they start learning without even knowing that they're doing that. So yeah, how did you come to that? Because it's like that's like an advanced education technique. Is this
Strategy.
something like you knew ahead of time, or is it just something that you just kind of stumbled into because it made sense? How did
Well, yeah, it's a strange twist of fate. My mother was a preschool teacher for most of her career, and then I ended up working summer camps and did that activity, and then I studied with a man named Tom Brown, who's called the Tracker, and he's from the Lippin Apache band of natives from Arizona,
Mhm.
and so weaving together those disparate areas is how I've kind of reached the philosophies I have around training humans to observe and integrate what they learn.
well, that's awesome, because so many people don't have that ability to actually just kind of take these things and make something useful. So the fact that you put this together is like, well done. Recent part of our school is like we just interviewed somebody with a PhD in pedagogy, which is education, and she was talking about the stuff that we were doing in our school, and she goes, oh yeah, there's this study that shows that what you're doing here is just right, and hey, here's this study that shows what you're doing here is just right. So through anecdotally just experience of what we've experienced over the years, the school and the stuff that we're putting together is just right on as well. So congratulations on being able to see that and move into that and to take that step. So many people have these ideas and then don't move. So well done. Congratulations and thank you. So
How many books are in your series now?
Let's see. I've got two of the picture books. I'm working on two chapter books. One's around tracking and the tracks of the animals, and then another one it's called Henry and the Magic Rock, and it's one that's around him just sitting in by the creek and then getting some realizations from and being able to talk to the animals. And then there's a book that I wrote for the parents, which is called Nature Bound, and that's 50 activities to do with kids outside and kind of how to prepare for that for as the parent or the mentor.
Right.
yeah, because there's a lot of new parents now that haven't been outside.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Yeah.
it's like sometimes I go into people's houses and it's like I go into their kitchens and it's like their oven, their stove has never been used in the house is 3 years old.
Right. Yeah.
Our parent age people right now are 20 to 30-year-olds. They're missing so many life skills. And so yeah, having the book to help them get out and to teach them what to do to teach the kids, that's super important too, because if it's just for the kids and the kids are like bugging the parents, it's like, hey, come do this, and the parents don't know how to
I'm
do
not sure
it.
about that.
So yeah, giving
Yeah.
the trip the clues too. So
Well,
what
yeah, and for those, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'll keep going.
Oh, I was just saying for those parents who can't or don't have interest in being outside, then I always say send them to summer camp, send them to day camp, and let them get some experience. Let the kids get some experience that way, because that can be life changing also.
That is a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, here in Oregon,
Mhm.
we have this thing called outdoor school, or we used to, and
It's actually back.
so they used to send a class of kids out for like a week. Now it's down to like a day or
It's
two.
3 days, but
Yeah.
But you still actually get in nature. It's like, yes.
Yeah, so every year the school would send the kids out into a nature area for a couple of days to because so many people now grow up in cities and never actually get out into the grass, into nature, and see what is out there. So fabulous work that that it's doing. And when the kids get outside and start to see this stuff for the first time, it's like, wow, look at all the stuff that's here. So
Exactly.
and so tracking, so you teach them how to identify animals and track animals and as well.
Yeah, just to start that process of what the different tracks look like, and some stories about what those animals, how they live. Yep.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I remember before moving to Prospect, when we moved to Oregon when I was 8. I lived in California in a concrete jungle, and I remember doing Indian guides back then. It was
Oh
before.
yeah, YMCA. Yeah.
Indian guides was a lot like that. It was camping. It was learning to track. It was learning about animals, and those are some of the memories that I actually have from that time that are still holding
Still with
on.
you. Yeah.
Is being able to get out of the city and seeing trees and playing in creeks and playing with animals and bugs and stuff. So, I mean, those are some of my best memories growing up when
Yeah,
I
same
lived in the city.
same for me. Yeah, being able to go out for the weekend camping, and just having sticks and rocks and dirt and getting bored and figuring out what you're going to do, right? That's an important part of a kid.
Exactly. And I love that what you just said, sticks and rocks and dirt, and then getting bored, because there's so many people now who think that they always have to have something to give to their kids. Give them something to do, give them something to do. It's like, no, they need to be bored. They need to have that time to, like you said, kind of go inside, introspective, think about, and if they're bored, then their imagination starts going off, or they actually think about who they are and what they want to be and things like that. So please let them have their sticks and their rocks and their dirt and be bored for a while. Right?
Yes, 100%. And give them some time to sit by themselves. I think that's an important one you mentioned, Christina, is that that's how people build the power of self-reflection. And we have to answer those questions. Who am I and what am I here to do? And it's not going to happen by scrolling through Instagram and TikTok.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I remember one time we went to my parents' house and they had a tree in the backyard, and I was like talking to my kids, like, hey, go climb the tree. And they're like, what? And they didn't know how to climb a tree. They'd never climbed a tree before. So, me growing up in out in the woods in Prospect, I knew it. So I was like, I climbed up to the top of this tree. It was like got so high, I was like making the top flow back and forth. And my kids were down on the ground watching me like I was crazy. And then when I climbed down, it's like they spent the whole day trying to figure out how to get up and down in that tree. So it's like, how can a little kid not know how to climb trees? Just kind of. So again, it's like now we have to make kids go out and do that, because now so many parents are like, oh, get out of the tree, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to break something. Like, no, me, I was kind of the opposite. It's like, go get in that tree. Hopefully you fall down and hurt yourself and learn something.
Not
Right.
bad.
Not badly, but a little bit.
Here was mom going, I don't want them falling out of the tree and getting hurt. And he's like, let them go. It's like, yes, I got to step back and think about this. It's okay for kids to have experiences.
Yeah, you got to know how to get into trouble and how to get out of trouble, right? That's a life skill that we all have to learn.
That is a big life skill. Yeah. If you get in, how do you get out? And one of the things I like to remind parents of is that if they do it when they're younger, and that consequences or the reality of it is smaller, it's a lot easier to learn, and it's a lot safer to learn then than when they're older. So yeah, let them have this experience to get in, get out of trouble. Exactly. So one of the things you mentioned in your book that you have that you wrote for the parents, do you mind sharing just like one or two things out of there? Of course, don't give the whole book away, but let's give
Yeah.
our tidbits of what can they do to get their kids out into nature.
Well, there's, a couple things. One is like just a scheduled time to go and find a county park that's next to a creek, right? And just go for a simple hike.
Yeah.
And, take a day pack and have some snacks and, comfort and those things are important. So you got water, you got trail mix, you're making it fun and enjoyable. Could be some kind of a treasure hunt, so that you have that activity while you're creek walking, or it could be finding a spot, a campground. I mean, especially in Oregon, we have so many great campgrounds.
Yeah.
And I run through the list of things that you need to consider if you're going camping and you're not certain how to do that the first time, and how to track down campgrounds or BLM property or national park, and then making sure that the food's good. They've got a tent and they got a little nest to be in, and that the rest of the time you're working on getting them out on a trail of some sort, and then having all these little ancillary things. It could be a night hike, it could be 30 minutes on a rock by yourself, or it could be plaster of Paris for tracking, right? So
Yeah.
that there's activities, but it doesn't have to be extravagant, and it doesn't have to be every minute is scheduled. That's really, it's really the beauty of those types of trips.
So one thing
Absolutely.
that I'm just going to probably say, it's probably not in your book, but take an extra pair of clothes and let your kids get dirty. You've got a clean car and you don't want dirty kids in your car. Take an extra pair of clothes, take a towel, let your kids get dirty when they're out playing, because if they get dirty and they get all ooky, then that for some reason is, especially for boys, is going to draw them back to wanting to do that more.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. We'd do an exercise where you actually dig a hole in the ground um, that's the length of the kid, and then you bury them in the soil and actually put a handkerchief over their mouth so they can still breathe, but they're completely buried in dirt, and for a period of time. And it's amazing. You can almost feel like the heartbeat of the surroundings when you're buried that deep in dirt.
Ooh, that like
Wow.
sense my claustrophobia. Like, I'm not sure I could do that. But yeah, that sounds amazing, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure I could actually handle that.
Yeah.
So
Well, reminds me of every time we would go to the beach, we would go to the dry
Yeah.
sand and dig a great big hole in the dry sand, and then we would get covered up in the sand. Of course, I would never cover my face. I always had my head out, right? But it was
Yeah.
just amazing because you could feel the weight of the sand, and you realize
Mhm.
that it was warm and cold at the same time, because the sand was kind of like cold, but you were kind of warm. And then if you really got still, either the waves or your heartbeat, you could feel those different things. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so it changes
another
it.
thing for parents who don't have a lot of experience of this, what he was talking about, campgrounds, there are campgrounds where they have cabins, there are campgrounds where they have yurts, which is kind of an
Yeah.
open sided tent.
Yeah.
They have campgrounds where you can drive up and put your tent right outside your car. And then they have campgrounds where you have to hike into stuff. So if you're like, oh man, I can't do that, it's like you can start with baby steps. You can
Yeah.
go get a cabin and then like take the hiking trails outside.
Yes.
So there are so many different available levels
now.
of
Yeah.
availability. You don't have to like buy thousands of dollars worth of camping stuff and learn how to do it all at once. You can creep into it and make sure you like it, and then once you realize how awesome it is, then you can start getting deeper and deeper into it. So you don't have to jump in all the way, but start getting at least your toes a little bit into the water.
No, that's a great point. Like the yurt camping out in Manzanita and out on the coast of Oregon. That's really, it's an easy entry. You really only need a stove and some sleeping bags, and you're good to go for a weekend. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it can just be one night, or you can try to go longer, again, making sure that you have the food, a few things that the kids really, really like, those snacks that'll get them going, just in case cooking takes a little bit longer than you think. Or you're like, oh, I'm just so exhausted, I don't really want to cook. Okay, cool. We'll eat all the snacks and do something tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quesadillas are always the best.
Work well out in the middle of the woods.
Exactly. So what is one of your favorite, like, do you make your own trail mix, or do you like go buy it at the store? What are some favorite things that you want to have with you? What do you like to take with you?
Yeah, I do. I'm a trail mix guy. I'll buy something even just from Costco, and then add another bag of M&Ms and dates. So you can never have too much chocolate and too much sweet inside the peanuts and the almonds. That's my theory.
I love it. Almonds. No, dates and more M&Ms, more chocolate. You're a guy after my own
Yeah.
heart. I love chocolate.
I
Yeah.
like dates, so
See,
Yeah, there you go.
you would eat the dates. I would eat the chocolate.
Oh, you're minors.
You get the trail mix and you get those people who like kind of start sorting it, right?
Yeah.
Creativity, let's sort the trail mix and see what's in there.
no, I mean I'm a handful guy. Just throw it all in, like the textures, like all of it all together. It's like each handful is different if you put a whole bunch in. So
And then the classic of, the hot chocolate and marshmallows around the campfire. I mean, every kid loves to do the get a stick, sharpen a stick, and then roast their own marshmallows. So these little
we
things that become
make
the treat.
flaming marshmallow torches.
Yeah.
Oh no, flaming marshmallow.
They don't start roasting marshmallows until they're teens. When they're little kids, they just enjoy setting it on fire.
That's true. Who doesn't?
Right, exactly. Oh, so have you taken your grandkids out camping?
They're not quite old enough for that yet. I think next summer will be the first one.
Mhm.
So we'll probably get them out in the Tahoe area, in somewhere down there,
Yeah.
and then probably. I mean, we'll see how adventurous, how much permission I'll get from the moms, but I might even take them backpacking.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 6. They'll be 6 next summer, so they'll
Okay.
be just old enough. Yeah.
Great age to get started on all of this. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Was there anything that you were thinking about that you wanted to kind of mention that we haven't kind of touched on?
I think, if you're talking about parents, and if they're homeschooling, then it's I've talked to people where they say, yeah, we have one day a week that is just around nature, or nature and meditation, or so that it's part of the curriculum that is scheduled in, and then that way, as the instructor, the mentor, you're figuring out new things to do all the time.
Right.
So that's one nice thing to do.
And one of the things I like about what you're doing so much is you're teaching children, again, how to be human.
Mhm.
So many of our stuff, we're separating it out, we're doing electronics, and we're losing touch with the earth, because most people, don't realize that they're earth. So like when people talk about, ooh, earth, they're talking about me, they're talking about you. It's like
Yeah.
everything we eat is from the earth, everything we breathe is from the earth. So it's like we are part of this earth. And so to separate yourself from nature and to think, oh, that's nature, that's not me. It's like, no, you are nature, you are part of that.
Mhm.
So to get out into the life, to get back to part of what we are, it brings people back to their humanness. And that's, again, part of something that's so lacking nowadays. It's like the farmer people and out in, they get it. As when I grew up out in the woods, I was always out in the woods. When it got dark at
Yeah.
night, there were no lights, there was no sounds. It was just there. And then moving into a city, it's like that, the separation of there. So bringing people back to that, bringing kids back to that is such an important thing to do right now. And so again,
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
it's
really sure if that comes to a question, but thank you for helping
Get this out there.
get that back
Yeah.
out there again.
yeah, well, you bet. It's I got to do it because I know it's the missing piece in our culture right now, and it's the connection is what's going to let us move these kids forward in a healthy and productive way. And if we don't do it, then nothing good is going to happen. So
Exactly. Yep. So one last kind of tip is, even if you can't go out camping, even if you can't get to the park or whatever, at least go to your closest green grass area and take your shoes off and actually touch the grass, touch the ground, and let the earth and you kind of jive and connect a little bit, right? Start there, if nothing else, because like Herb said, like Emanuel said, we are connected. We need this connection with our earth, with our nature.
Yeah, and connecting to the Schumann resonance, which is the vibrational frequency of the earth without the rubber on your shoes. So again, just connecting, grounding, connecting to the frequency of the earth that you are a part of is so very, very important. So again, these books help kids start to make those connections, and it's just so important. So
Yeah.
I'm looking, just wow.
So Emmanuel, before we go, make sure you say out loud, how can people get a hold of you, find the books, etc. Let's get this connected and out to more families.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, the website's emmanuelrose.com,
Okay.
and the children's books are there on that site.
Wonderful. Excellent. And of course, everything will be down in the show notes as well. I think you said that there might be a free gift for people if they connect up with you.
Yeah, if you connect up and even just send me an email, I'm happy to send out a bundle of seeds, and you can plant some pollinator attractors in your front or backyard.
That would be wonderful. And of course, I know he's done his research, and they're probably the ones who are very safe for here in Oregon or wherever you are. So, don't worry about that, because every once in a while we get those packages of seeds that are actually not native, right? So we need to make sure. Yep, exactly.
So pollinators or attractors, is that for bees or birds or both, or?
Yeah, so for bees and butterflies and hummingbirds, and those are the primary pollinators. Yeah.
Right on.
We love hummingbirds. We have one or two that hang around here, right? And they come buzzing in and everything. They're just fun and amazing to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, the what 100 wing beats a second. It's incomprehensible
Right.
speed.
Exactly. Yeah. Excellent. Well, Emmanuel, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you for joining us on Bringing Education Home. Parents who have listened and followed along, thank you. Listen also to all those little tips and nuggets that we dropped along this show, right? There's ways to get your kids involved in nature, get your kids involved in reading, get your kids reconnected with grandparents. This is a beautiful idea. Let's get the generations talking again too, right? Grandparents, grab these books and go read with your grandkids, even if it has to be on Zoom, right?
Plant seeds, get your fingers in the dirt. Hey, you even maybe get to bury your kid. So that sounds like an awesome thing to do. There was times where I wish we could have buried our children. So but you got to dig them back up, and it'll be okay.
Exactly.
So folks, just thank you for being here again, Emanuel. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I love the work that you're doing, helping kids get back out into nature, helping families get back out into nature, because it is so important for so many families who just don't get that anymore. So thank you for your work.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right. All right, everybody. Bye for now. We'll see you next time.